What's your name, by the way?
KJ.
KJ. Viraj, nice to meet you.
You too, man.
Nice here, by the way.
Thank you. I usually get complimented on my beard, but
Really? Well, hair and the beard.
oh, I see.
Does money make you happy in life?
Not at all. I mean, it helps you with the basics, but you spend 10 years of your life trying to build a company and then sell it, and then you realize that it was never for the money.
No.
It was for the process. It was for building something valuable for people and then leaving a legacy.
So who do you do this for?
I do it for my parents, man.
What are your parents like?
I mean, they gave me everything. They came to this country with nothing. My mom worked 2 jobs. My dad worked various blue-collar jobs.
Wow.
And then put my sister and I through college. And, I have this opportunity that they gave me, and I want to see it through.
Where are you from?
We came from Punjab, India.
Punjab, India.
Yeah.
And what is the most important lesson that your parents have instilled in you to get here?
It's to treat people the way you want to be treated. Yeah.
And what age were you when you learned that?
Probably like 10.
You were 10.
Yeah.
What is the one lesson that you wish you knew at my age of 22?
I think it's the product and the market actually don't matter as much as the problem that you're working on.
What does that mean? Break that down for me.
Basically, the product can continue to change. Basically, the solution can change, but the problem shouldn't change. It should be something that you're proud of working on even when you're 80. Because if that's true, you're never going to give up.
A lot of people, a lot of young people especially, it's not about the idea. It's not about the work ethic. It's about the passion.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're passionate about. So how do you figure out what an idea is actually worth fighting for?
You got to be a little true to yourself, man. You got to see what are the problems in the world that you care about, and you got to take big swings. I always tell entrepreneurs, like, you only get 1 or 2, max 3 swings in your life, and make sure they're big swings, because even the small swings take the same amount of time to build and try and test out.
How much did you put yourself on the line to get here?
I mean, I moved to San Francisco. I didn't know anybody, and then I eventually started Dil Mil, quit my job. I had an offer from Wall Street.
You dropped your job on Wall Street
That's right. Yeah.
to work on your app.
Well, I had an offer from Wall Street that I rejected, and I moved to San Francisco with no job. Eventually found a job, and then I left that as well to start Dil Mil.
So you dropped 2 jobs
That's right.
and you created $2 million companies.
That's right. Yeah. Well, this one's not sold yet, but we'll see. But it's doing well.
How many people have used all your products in total?
Well, so the company that acquired Dil Mil, I was the chief strategy officer for. We launched multiple products there. So combining Dil Mil and those products, we've had over 200 million users across the world that have used our products.
200 million users.
Yeah.
So what's the key to getting your first 100 users?
It's build something that people really obsess over and they enjoy using, and it solves, like I said, a really important problem for them, and they tell their friends and family about it.
So you've been around the rich and the poor of the world, right? Selling your company and now growing up with not that much. What do you think separates the two?
I think it's character, man. Yeah. It's when you don't have anything and you're working really hard, it builds a lot of character. It builds resiliency. When you have money and you don't have to work for something, you don't really build those skills and those personality traits. And those are the biggest things. The people that come from nothing oftentimes will get lost in the sauce. You see that all the time, especially the people that move to LA, or bigger cities. But I think if you can keep that through line in your life, that's what sort of is the secret to success.
What is the one thing you've done every single day to get here?
I know it's kind of cliche, but man, it's pray.
So you believe in God?
I believe in God, man.
Yeah.
I think everyone believes in the same God. They have different perspectives, though. I think that's something my parents, like you were asking earlier, my mom really instilled in me. My mom wakes up at like 4 a.m. every day to pray. I don't do that. I can't take that credit, but some of those things I've taken with me throughout life, and it's helped me stay grounded. I would say my mom and my sister have been 2 of my biggest anchors in life.
In this life, who are you closest to?
My mom and my sister,
Really?
definitely.
Being around your mom and your sister, what does that touch you about emotions and expressing your emotions as a man?
My mom and my sister are both like incredibly hardworking women. They are super smart, resilient, and honestly, just seeing them, I've always felt that, how do you empower women around you? And that helps you as a man really be a true man. Because at the end of the day, a lot of men out there are really not treating women well because they think they're better than them. They don't know how to sort of like talk to women, so they end up, basically saying the wrong things or
Right.
sort of like cheating on them in relationships or whatever it is. Having started a relationship, like a company that was sort of meant to build a lot of relationships, a lot of the learnings that I learned from my mom and my sister, I sort of took over to that company and really like women are. I mean, in our religion, man. I'm Sikh. I'm from Punjab, India, and in our religion, there's a saying in the Guru Granth Sahib, which is like our sort of Bible or Quran, if you will, and it's essentially that from her kings are born, So and why call her bad, and I've always believed that because my mom, and my sister have been very strong figures in my life, and in order to be a true king, you really have to pay your respect, back to the women in your life. And if you can't do that, you're not a real man.
No. And who are you without your mother anyway?
Yeah, you're nobody, man. I always say that if you're not loyal to your mother, if you don't love your mother, the person that created you, like you're never gonna be loyal to anybody.
What is the most important lesson that God has taught you in this life?
It's really to be honest, man. And make an honest living. And I think that there's a lot of noise out there today, like a lot of shortcuts, a lot of things that people are trying to make money, like a quick buck. But the biggest thing is work hard, right? And like think long term. A lot of the younger generation today like are very short term thinking, right? It takes about like at least on a minimum 5 years, on an average about 10 years to build something actually meaningful and sustainable, whether it's a relationship or whether it's a company, and I think that when you're building a company, if you have the mindset that I'm going to sell it in 2 years or 3 years, you're never going to really make it.
No.
And now I'm building Lotus AI. Like I'm thinking for the next 2 decades, I'm going to be working on this problem. That's why the problem that you pick is really important.
What was the one lesson that you had to learn the hard way in life?
One of the hardest lessons is overcoming fear, you know? And like my first company, the fear was always, what if it doesn't work? What if I look stupid? And now the fear is like, what if it works? And will I have enough time in life for the things that matter in life, like family, you know? And so I think the biggest lesson is always fear is always going to be there, no matter how much money you have, how much success you've had, how many people you know. I've met the most successful people in my life that have like a lot of deep fears, and it's really being able to use those fears and turn them into sort of a drive and a passion to really do things, and realizing that like there's only a finite amount of time we have on this world, and fear is one of those things that sort of holds you back from a lot of things. So I always tell people when they're like, I have this idea, I want to build this thing. I'm just like, just go get started, just go do it. The hardest thing is just getting started. And once you get started, I mean, look, I'm building something in healthcare right now, which I knew nothing about, like 2-3 years ago. My sister's a doctor. We have a lot of doctors in the family, but still, at the same time, it's a completely new world. Like my last company was a dating app.
Mhm.
Even before I started that, I hadn't built a tech company. Like I told you, I went to school for engineering, but I ultimately was going to work on Wall Street. And
Wow.
I left that job to go and build something, and ultimately started building Dil Mil. But I knew nothing about how to build apps.
No.
I just got started. And
You just got
as
started.
long as you work hard, you learn. You learn on the fly.
So besides being successful, what is the most important lesson that hard work has given you in life?
I think hard work, and just work in general gives you purpose in life. And humans are lost without purpose. If you don't have purpose, you're never going to be happy. And I think that like you see these people that retire all the time, right? Like a lot of people that retire end up being like miserable. They lose purpose in life because they're not working on something, and I think that's a really big lesson is make sure that you work hard and you work on something that gives you energy, right? Because otherwise you're going to live a purposeless life.
You are.
Yeah.
But what's your take on passion then?
I think passion is like underrated. I always like to say a person in the room that's the smartest person in the world, and you put a person in the room that's the most passionate in the world about that particular problem or domain, the person that's more passionate will always win because they'll never give up. And eventually, if they have some base level of IQ, like they'll eventually be able to learn whatever is needed to succeed.
So hard work always beats talent.
That's right.
And
Hard work and passion.
and how has that played out for you?
I would say like, I've always been passionate, man. I've been passionate about making my parents proud, making my community proud, being able to really effectuate change in the world, and Dil Mil, we help millions of people find love. Now there's babies in the world that are, we like to say, a product of some of the work that we did. And now with Lotus, it's really that same impact, that same passion, because ultimately, like without it, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing.
No.
We're really trying to give people world-class, free primary care.
But what is the most world-class mistake that you made in your career?
I've made a lot of mistakes. I think it was early on not realizing how important it is to build a culture and a team that are all working on sort of the same level playing field. Meaning, if you have people on the team that aren't actually able to do the things that you're trying to do, it's going to hold the whole team back, right? It's like that saying that the chain is as strong as the weakest link.
So it's all about uplifting, the culture of uplifting other people.
Yeah, it's about uplifting and also like empowering people. The best managers in the world, the best leaders in the world actually empower their employees or their team members to do their best work. At the end of the day, if you can't do that as a leader or a manager, it doesn't matter, how much money you raise as a company. If the people aren't happy coming into work every day and they're not passionate about giving it their all, the company's never going to do what it's meant to do.
So what would you say the people who aren't empowered in life, the people that feel like life has given them nothing but failures, people that feel like life has not given them anything to succeed with? What would you tell those people?
I would tell them, look, that is the strongest gift that God has given you. That's how you build grit and resiliency, right? And I actually worry about like I do like angel investing on the side, and one of the things I always look for is like what are the hardest things you've been through in life? What have you overcome, right? Because ultimately, like that's what decides if are you going to give up when things get hard? Have you built this resiliency and the grit to navigate problems and think laterally outside of the box when things get thrown off track? I would say like that's a gift if you can learn how to harness, because oftentimes the people that have had hard lives or have hard childhoods are usually the ones that end up becoming like Steve Jobs.
Because they never had it simple.
They never had it simple and they never had it given to them. They had to work for it. They understand the value of work. They understand the value of money.
What do you think young people undervalue in their lives?
I think they undervalue opportunity. They undervalue longevity of ideas and focus. You see people hopping around from like job to job every 1 or 2 years now just to embellish their resume. But if you just stay somewhere or you work on something for an extended period of time, that's really where all the value is accrued. It's like Warren Buffett, concentration over diversification.
There's also another Warren Buffett quote. He says that if you have a list of your top 20 priorities, cross out the bottom 17 because you only have time for the top three.
That's right.
What's your take on that?
I wholeheartedly believe in that. I actually think the golden rule of three applies to everything. You can only focus on three things at one time. I always tell my team, what are the top three things you're working on this week, right? I don't want to hear about anything else. Like, tell me the top three things, because that's just like the human mind. We don't have enough capacity to work on multiple things at the same time. And now, obviously, with AI, you can sort of like multi-thread and do a bunch of things, but you lose the focus and the quality across most of those things. I think that three rule is really, really important. And Uncle Warren, man, like he knows better than I do.
He knows all of it. Now, last question to you. If you were on your deathbed at 100 years old, what lesson would you want to leave this world with?
It doesn't really matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what your last name is. It doesn't matter if someone in the industry is vouching for you. What matters, like I said earlier, is getting started. At the end of the day, if you're an immigrant, that's actually an advantage. If you're an outsider, that's an advantage. So use those things, harness those things to really differentiate yourself, because everyone's trying to fit in. Everyone's trying to go to YC. Everyone's trying to raise X amount of money from X VC, but differentiate yourself, right? And that's how you really like create something that's novel and different that ends up actually changing the world.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man.